I just want to kind of touch on really briefly my return strategy and how I actually handle returns. You have to understand with Poshmark that buyers on Poshmark don't actually see the ratings that other buyers have given you, okay? So they're unaware of what you've been rated across all your transactions. You could have 100 one-star transactions and 150 transactions and a really, really horrible rating, but they're never going to see that, okay? That said, the Poshmark internal team will see that, okay? So what I'm trying to say here is on Poshmark, you don't have to accept returns. I don't usually accept returns, and I rarely get return requests on Poshmark. There have been a few. The only time I would say to accept a return request on Poshmark is if you blatantly, miscategorize the item or you basically put in a wrong condition, right? So if you've described the item right, and you've used product pictures that actually are that item and not a replica of that item, or, for example, right, a perfect example of this that will kind of, lock it into, how you should approach it, right, is I see a lot of people trying to game the Poshmark system or game the eBay system or anything like that, and list used shoes as new shoes that are just scuffed or something like that. In that case, if a buyer were to ask for a return request, I would say you probably should do it, because if you have too many of those, eventually it's going to lead to consequences on your account, whether that's Poshmark, Mercari, or any of the other ones, right? On top of that, though, it's really just kind of bad business to do that. So the only times I would say to accept a return on Poshmark is if you've miscategorized the item or you're trying to sell something that's used as new and the buyer catches you. And I don't even recommend doing that in the first place, okay? But for 99.9% of all Poshmark transactions, and keep in mind I might have faced, I don't even know, 3 of these overall in the entirety of the time that I've been selling on Poshmark. So the only time that I would do it with those specific situations, but 99.9% of the time, I'm not going to accept a return request, because I demonstrated, obviously, with the pictures and the listing, what the actual item is. And by the way, I actually categorized it as the right condition. So if for whatever reason the buyer gets it and they're unhappy, that's, for lack of a better way to put it, that's not necessarily on me, okay? So I don't accept those in those situations. And in a lot of times, if you have good metrics and you have a history of servicing customers well on Poshmark, what Poshmark will do is they'll just accept it for both parties, right? Because it goes into a dispute and kind of like a middleman type of thing, in escrow. So you get the money a lot of times if you have good seller metrics. Poshmark will just be like, we decided to refund you, and we let the buyer keep the item and refunded them as well. But that's only if you have good seller metrics, okay? And that's only if you don't have a history of doing that and trying to pull the wool over customers' eyes, so to speak, okay?